everybody, welcome back to The Couple of Entrepreneurs. Today we're going to be talking about freedom. Freedom may not be exactly what you think, so we'll have to get into a little bit of conversation about it. This is Mikel-Claire.
And this is Trey.
And we are The Couple of Entrepreneurs. We're here to share with you our journey of successes and setbacks as we enter the world of entrepreneurship now that we no longer have 9-to-5s due to the new normal of the world and the pandemic.
Join us as we race the clock to start earning money, gain consistency, and overcome self-doubts and uncertainty as we search for our voices and obtain personal and financial growth.
So, talking about freedom in regard to entrepreneurship, what do you think out of financial freedom, freedom of time, or any other freedom that you could think of? What do you think is the most important or the most sought after in terms of being an entrepreneur?
I'd say the freedom to think for yourself. And that's more in terms of not having a boss, being able to kind of like dictate your own schedule, command your own wages, the freedom to not have somebody tell me how to work, the freedom to not have to answer to somebody, the freedom to not have to make somebody else rich. So not having a boss was my best freedom. If I have to choose something else, and it's probably the freedom to make my own wages, to pay myself what I feel that I'm worth, and not feel bad about it.
That's true. I can completely understand that because I'm sure there's been times when you've been underpaid or not paid what you felt you were worth in a situation. Can you think of any of those?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's pretty much the story of any job I've had, especially as a kid working like a 9-to-5 of not getting paid what you're worth. Working long hours, 12-hour days, few breaks, short lunches, and then you're making barely more than minimum wage, barely a livable wage at that. And then you sit back and you think all of that effort and time that you're never going to get back and sweat was just to make somebody else rich. I mean, it's not like you're wearing shackles and chains. It's not that level of being locked down, but you're not free to thrive. It's one of those things where I wish the 9-to-5 Harriet Tubman would have kicked the door down and said, "Come on, we about to be free." I'd have took off with her.
Do you think there's such a thing as having too much freedom? Because I know a lot of times people assume that in entrepreneurship that there's just all this time and you can do what you want and kind of, create your own schedule, which you can. But do you think there's too much freedom?
That can be a problem. Thinking that you can just take whatever you want from your business and there not be any repercussions. And what I mean by take anything you want, I mean money, time, and accountability. Sure, you have the freedom to do all of that, but at what cost? At what point? As somebody who's run a successful business, how did you feel when you had to ask yourself the uncomfortable question within your business? How much should I pay myself from these efforts? When all of the other expenses are tallied up and you see what's left, did you have a type of guilt in paying yourself, or did you reinvest it back into the business? Like how did that affect you? Because we're talking about freedom, but you still kind of are answering to the needs of your business, right?
I guess I know for some of you may not know, I do own a home bakery as well. So that's the business that he's referring to in this question. So I guess initially, especially first starting out, it was very difficult to charge what I felt I was worth. It was hard to put a value on my time and on my abilities. So I know that initially that can be pretty difficult, especially if you're still struggling with your self-doubt or your lack of confidence. But I think it's important to look at people that are also in the same industry that you're in and kind of see what they're doing, see what the norm is, and then kind of assess based on that. Like, there are some people that I'm like, oh, honestly, I do better work than they do. I could charge more than they do, or they may charge way more than I do. I'm still providing like a better quality of work. So I think it's important to kind of assess that when you're looking into what you're going to charge. And it can be difficult, especially like I said, if you're first starting out and you're not really sure what your value is, but you got to be confident in your skill level, confident in your skill set, and just go from there.
Did you ever take advantage of the freedom that your business allowed you? Like, let's take, for instance, time. Time is a resource that is definitely finite, right? Can you think of a time where you've ever may have accidentally abused the amount of time that your business needed?
My situation is a little different. It wasn't like I was just working on my business. I also had a 9-to-5. So I was working and I had my cake business on the side. So I didn't really have a lot of extra free time to be rolling around and kind of doing extracurricular activities. Every ounce of quote unquote free time I had, I was actually, making cakes or responding to inquiries. So now that I don't have a 9-to-5 and I do still have my cake business, I do have more time to kind of do the things that I need to do for myself if I do get overwhelmed or if it starts to be too much. So at this point, I would absolutely take advantage of the little bit of free time that I do have in order to take a deep breath or step outside for a minute or whatever it is that I need to do in order to make sure that I keep myself in the right state of mind to keep moving forward in other endeavors.
We're in the process of building additional businesses as we speak. And with that comes a bit of a loss of freedom. I do feel like I'm chained to my laptop a lot of the time. When I have these grand ideas and visions that entrepreneurship is going to grant me this freedom, I'm definitely not free now. So how do you feel about your lack of freedom in the process of building these new assets and building these new businesses?
With anything that you are working towards or any success that you're trying to have, there's going to be periods of time when you're building and in the initial phases that you have to put forth maybe 150% of work versus in the later stages when you're hoping to have everything automated and working for you. If you know that, and when times get a little more difficult and you feel a little more overwhelmed, you have 10,000 tasks to do, you just got to kind of remember your vision and what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then knowing that you're doing it for you and not for somebody else will kind of help you get over that hurdle. For you, what is it that keeps you moving forward even in times when you don't have the freedom that you thought that this lifestyle would allow for you?
I see it as kind of like preparing the ingredients, and nobody really wants to eat raw ingredients, right? Like if you're making an apple pie, you don't focus on eating the dough, right? And you don't focus on eating the raw apples or the spices by themselves, right? But you have to take the time to make sure that all of those ingredients are mixed in properly. And you have to take the time and the cost sometimes to purchase those ingredients. So these freedoms that we're talking about that entrepreneurship can grant is we're speaking on the other side of being an entrepreneur when the business is already built and it's on autopilot, and then you can dictate your price and your vacations and all that. But when you're on the side of building the business, I don't feel any freedom at all. But the justification is that I'm spending my time to get these ingredients. I'm spending my money to purchase these ingredients of building this business so that when I put it in the oven and get it ready for this beautiful apple pie, or can I, I don't like using apple pie. Can I use sweet potato pie? Yeah, I'm going to use sweet potato pie.
How about cakes?
Okay. Well, cakes and sweet potato pie. So when I pull it out of the oven and it's ready to go, then, I can have the freedom to eat it whenever I want, to give it to whoever I want. I know that my freedom isn't where I want it to be now, but it's just because it's not done. Everything is still doughy and raw. But when it gets done baking, and I think it's going to be a beautiful sweet potato pie, a beautiful cake, I really do plan to enjoy the time I'm going to have eating it and the freedom to do with that pie or that cake, to do with it whatever I want.
What about like financial freedom? What is it that you're hoping to gain as far as your financial freedom at the end of this?
I kind of want to shake the shackles of being stuck to a place. And that's in terms of my business being more mobile, I don't want to be stuck to some cubicle. I want to really live like a nomadic laptop lifestyle and help move our family to anywhere we want to be. The business is us. The business is stored in the cloud per se, and the laptop just facilitates it. I want the freedom of mobility. I love where we live. I'm very grateful for where we live, but I don't want to be chained to where we live. So I want the freedom to see the world. How about you? What type of freedoms are you expecting? I know financial freedom is the big one. Freedom of time, freedom of mobility, freedom of peace of mind. What's the big goal? What's the freeing thing that entrepreneurship can bring you?
I think for me, freedom to make my own decisions, to make my own choices, to steer my own ship, so to speak. I don't want anyone to be in charge of making decisions for me. I don't want anybody to say, hey, you have to come to the office today. Hey, you are in the middle of a pandemic and you have to risk getting sick by coming to work today. I want to know that I'm in control of my life. I don't have to worry about a boss or co-workers or anything like that. So for me, it's the freedom to know that I can make my own choices and live my own life. That, as a 40-something-year-old woman, means more to me than anything. As I've gotten older and been on this journey of personal growth, freedom to live my life the way that I want unapologetically is one of the most important things that I've discovered.
Yeah. Well, if I had a glass of wine and toast, I would say, here's to freedom.
Cheers.
Cheers. And as always, I'm going to go ahead and stick a pin in this. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And that way you'll get a notification every time something new drops from the couple of entrepreneurs. Hope you all truly understand how grateful we are to have you. We look forward to providing you some good and interesting content.
And feel free to tune in next time.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Peace out.